airflow technique is credited to Martin Schwartz in about the mid-1970s. And Martin Schwartz developed the airflow technique to help with the problems that he called airway dilation reflex and laryngeal spasm. Now, those terms pretty much died out in just a couple years, and nobody else really picked up on them. However, an adaptation of Schwartz's airflow technique is still used today, and I find it to be a very effective approach at helping people who stutter overcome laryngeal blocks. So let's get started and take a look at normal respiration. There's, of course, the inhalation phase and the exhalation phase. And in relaxed breathing, like you're doing now, the inhalation phase and exhalation phase are pretty much the same in terms of their duration, how long they last. There comes a point where the lungs are at maximum capacity and inhalation turns into exhalation just as you reach that point. After that, the muscles of the rib cage, the thoracic cavity, relax, and it permits the rib cage to decrease in size, and you exhale. But breathing for speech is a little different. What we see is that the inhalation phase is much quicker, and the exhalation phase is stretched out. We use our musculature to keep the exhalation phase of respiration going longer because that's the air on which we breathe. But still, there's a particular point where inhalation turns into exhalation. Now, when it comes time to phonating, turning on our voice, we only use exhalated air to phonate. And there's a very short amount of time, and it requires some fairly coordinated effort to breathe in, to start exhalation, turn on voice, and then use it for speech. So as we begin to turn our voice on, what we're going to do is delay that time. We're not going to start phonation until a couple seconds after we normally would. As a result, there's an escape of air. Now keep in mind, what that means is that the vocal folds are apart. And that's just the antithesis of what we see in a laryngeal block. When a person who stutters has a laryngeal block, the vocal folds come together and hold too tight to let air escape. And you get that sound. That's when you can tell there's too much tension in the vocal folds and they're not free to vibrate. So to help overcome that, what we're going to do is not bring the vocal folds together to start voice till later on in the process. So what you now hear acoustically is an escape of air before phonation, and it sounds somewhat like the H sound. I'm going to the store. So that's the airflow technique. What it does, it delays the onset of phonation and gives the speaker a longer period of time to exhale before bringing the vocal folds together for phonation. Let's watch Renee and her client demonstrate this technique.
What I'm going to talk to you about right now is known as the airflow technique. And when we breathe, there's an inhalation process and an exhalation process. The inhalation period is shorter than the exhalation period. We reach a certain point where inhalation becomes exhalation. And at that point, normal speaking, we begin to phonate right then and there, and we begin to speak. With the airflow technique, we want to leave a bigger space from that point to the moment we start to phonate. So an example would be, "Hi, my name is Renee." Now I'd like you to repeat after me 3 words using the airflow technique, okay? Hello.
Hello.
Good. Heater.
Heater.
Very good. And here.
Here.
Very good. I heard a nice H sound between the beginning of your exhalation and the minute you began to phonate. So very, very good. Let's move on to sentences. So repeat after me using the airflow technique at the beginning of each sentence. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Have you got the time?
Have you got the time?
Very good. How are candles made?
How are candles made?
Who is stronger?
Who is stronger?
Very good. Great time or great H sound between the beginning of your exhalation and the beginning of the phonation. You'll see that the airflow technique is very useful in preventing laryngeal blocks because it allows air to go through the vocal folds before they constrict to phonate. Let's take some more time and practice other examples.
The airflow technique allows more time for air to escape by delaying the time that we initiate phonation. The airflow technique works best with sounds that you glide into, like vowel sounds and the W and H sounds. Don't try to use the airflow technique with plosives because it's the nature of a plosive sound to obstruct the airway and as intraoral air pressure increases and then let it burst. It doesn't work all that well. The overall goal for using the airflow technique is to have the speaker feel initiation of an utterance in a slow, easy, relaxed way. I hope you'll find the airway technique to be as successful as Renee did.